Hey guys, Brendon and Nikayla from Dynamic Nutrition. Today we're going to talk about post-comp direction, something that happens very quite often, like with competitors, is when we're prepping and you sort of get in that whole sort of mindset, everything becomes very structured and you're breaking your days down into sort of small pieces, your cardio, your training, your meal prep, everything's kind of boom, 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 sort of as we go along. And kind of what happens is it takes up a lot of time, and it becomes a very sort of major part of your life and your lifestyle and what's sort of going on. So
everything else works around it because there's so much to do at the end.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, and that's exactly it. So everything else sort of gets put in second place or on hold while you're sort of going through that process, and you get very sort of fixated in that mindset as well. So because obviously you're trying to achieve your goal at the end of the day, and yeah, there's work to be done, and so you're putting in the work, and you're just very sort of it's very sort of one sort of focus, and very sort of committed mindset. So anyway, post comp, like what generally happens is you're pushing yourself to the limit, you're pushing really hard, and then sort of all of a sudden, in our case, we got an awesome result, so we're just absolutely stoked with that.
And you're lucky you get that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you don't always.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone else that were in our classes didn't get that. So
And that's hard. That's another story because being there, and that's hard to deal with sometimes. So yeah, so post comp's really about, like, well, obviously we went away on holiday, and kind of for a couple of weeks everything sort of we're just eating really instinctively, eating a lot of extra food and that type of thing. The only difference with us going away was because we still had a lot of time, we actually ended up training every day. I know it sounds,
most mornings.
yeah, it sounds really crazy, but when you don't have all the pressure of the competition there, it's what we still love to do. So
It's still our passion at the end of the day. And when you get real close to the end of the prep, like I've said it a few times as well, like at the end you say that you can't wait till you can stop and that you're sick of doing it, like with the style and structure that we were doing. And then once the pressure's gone, it's like, what are we going to go do? We've got a bit of time. And then you go and train and you get in there, and rather than having a full structure and having to do heavy squats, for example, which we actually did on our first training in Bali anyway, but you can do whatever you want, and it's nice to just, for a little while, have no structure and just go crazy and do whatever you want because you've had that formality for so long. But
yeah, and so we're still, when you can get up in the morning and it's beautiful and sunny outside and go for a walk, and there's kind of no sort of commitments as far as work or time and that type of thing. So we ended up just eating a lot and training and, just chilling out, and we're still enjoying it. So that's all sort of good and well, and that's awesome. But, as soon as we sort of got back, like I started to struggle with it myself because, like, straight away I'm thinking of what's the next thing that I need to achieve, and there's sort of goals there. You need goals to sort of get yourself back in line and sort of get your head back in the right place, and obviously we want to make progress and sort of improve the physique and that type of thing, but there's sort of lots of other little variables that need to be taken into consideration. So it's really important, if you're coming out of a prep, that if you're working with a coach or something like that, that there's some sort of post-comp sort of structure that's going to be put in place to kind of keep you from just losing kind of track of yourself, and things sort of getting a bit out of hand. And it's interesting, even like for myself personally, like I struggle with not having a structure there, and I was eating really instinctively when we got back into clean eating, stoked to be back into clean eating and that type of thing, but sort of just making up meals as I went. And, I know what I can and can't eat, but still I needed to sit down and put together a plan and write all my diet out and stuff again and work it all out and sort of just to get my head clear again with, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working towards, this is the next step. Cool, we can sort of button off a bit with things, enjoy training again, enjoy eating more food, and get yourself in the right place kind of mentally. So what we kind of do is we go through like what we call a reverse dieting process. And so slowly what we do is we sort of increase calories and we bring output back a bit, so cutting back on the cardio and, you know, just being a little bit more mindful of sort of what we're actually doing with our time and, you know, putting time into other things as well. So, excuse me. Yeah, so that's a very slow, that can be a very slow sort of process, because when you cut back that output, because that output was so high, you have to be very aware of how many calories or how much food you're putting back in. So, you know, we usually sort of bump it up 200 or 300 calories over what we're kind of eating previously. You can have, you know, a few sneaky treat meals and that sort of shit get to go in there, so that's all good. Keep you sane, keep you happy. Obviously things aren't as rigid and as structured and it's not as critical, but at the same time it's about keeping composition in a reasonable range so the progress that we make is quality, moving out of that show diet. And the cool thing about that is if you're very patient with your reverse dieting process, that because your composition's still in sort of a good range, we can get a whole heap more calories in over a period of time, obviously. And I'm talking sort of 6, 8, 10 weeks, like it's a slow sort of process, but you can keep everything nice and tight and get some food in there. And generally you should find yourself sitting in a good situation where you're, you know, 2 or 3 kilos up, but body fat hasn't crept up as much. So you fill up the glycogen stores, you get a lot fuller, tighter, and then you can put that back into really productive training as far as strength and recovery, and just feeling really good. So, and that's also important for finding balance and health, getting your body back into really good health, with the cardio and the caffeine, the stimulants, and, you know, that type of thing. The stress on the system, like, it's about getting everything back healthy and just sort of, just getting back into a good place. And it's also getting into a good place kind of mentally with where your body composition is, because that's a struggle as well, because, oh shit, all the veins out of my stomach are gone, but hold on, I've still got abs. Like, you know, you can't walk around in comp condition all year round. Like, it's just not.
But it doesn't make you not want to.
Yeah.
Everyone has that battle.
It's just not realistic, because you kind of look at yourself like, I guess what I'm trying to say is you've got to be happy with being in great shape rather than being peeled to the fucking bone, you know, like just ridiculously, because there's that very fine line between your health and, you know, like, looking after yourself. And
the other thing too is that like, we're obviously in off season now, or creeping into doing that, and you can't, although it's questionable, be completely shredded to the bone and put on what you need to muscle-wise for the next time you go and compete. Like, that's obviously the goal, not so much for me, but for Brendon, is to put on some size. And when you are how we are in the last week or two of prep, everything starts hurting really badly, and, you know, like, because it's just so much pressure on the joints because of how lean you are as well. You kind of need a little bit there. I'm not talking ridiculous or anything, but to be able, for your body to be able to handle it and to feel good, like you said, when you're training too.
Yeah, it's just having the fuel in the tank to support the goals, like you're not going to put on good quality muscle mass if you don't have good quality calories and the food going in there to support that. And
like you said, it's just the energy too that you have from the
yeah,
food.
yeah, exactly. And so you've got to make sure that the fuel's going in to support the gains and that type of thing. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. So basically, trainings, we've created more structure. We're back into routine with training, and we're just starting to push back hard again, start lifting some decent weights, and just really sort of get back into a really good mindset with enjoying training, enjoying food, and just really sort of looking at those goals moving forward and starting to work towards achieving them. So
Make some plans.
make some plans. Yep, that's it. So post comp, you need a little bit, structure, direction. Make some new goals, and start working towards them. Don't be too hard on yourself as far as your composition and that type of things concerned, but keep it in check. Look after your health, get things back into balance, be happy, be healthy, and yeah, work hard and yeah, keep moving forward. Cheers, guys. Thank you.